welcome to T Limbs, or The Bridge, excuse me, first show. T Limbs would like to welcome our panel of Twyla Cawthon, Teresa Hamilton, and Francis Adams. This is our initial show. Again, T Limbs would like to welcome you, and it's called The Bridge. I would like to say right quick that, Martin took us to the mountain, and the bridge is going to take us home. Wow. So with that, we're going to, oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's powerful.
I'll pat myself on the back for that one. That's powerful. But thank you guys for joining us, and we welcome your input. We're going to start off with Twyla Cawthon. And Twyla, if you like to give them the definition of the bridge, let's get the show on the road.
Well, a connection. You have 2 points, and sometimes there are more than 2 points, varying points. There's this wedge between these 2 points. Might be water, might be land, might just be the atmosphere itself. Bridge means bringing these 2 points together so that you can interconnect these places, destinations that we all try to travel.
Right.
Sometimes when we talk about bridges, we try to bridge divides in our own personal lives. We try to negotiate things as far as how am I going to pay this next thing? You're going to try to bridge that gap. Well, as black people in America, we have a significant bridge, and that bridge was caused by the Mid-Atlantic slave trade. We lost every piece of our culture, and it's out there in those watery graves.
So you're bridging America back to Africa.
Yes, we're bridging back home. Back home. Back home. And we should look at it like that, too.
Absolutely.
We should.
Absolutely.
Textbooks don't tell enough. Textbooks don't even begin to tell the story. Textbooks start at the plantation.
Well, like Trump says, false news, false books.
Fake news.
Fake books. Fake books.
Fake news. Well, we know that there's such a richness to us, and we know this because everything that we do, people copy. Copy your music, our hair, our color, our styles, our body, with all this injection of any part of your body you want added that looks like a black woman, but you're not really black. Okay. And for so many years, we were sold on this European concept that that's what beauty. This is what beauty was. This is what success was. So
let me touch on that before you go on. This European thing. If you check out the history of Europe, and they don't tell you what we learned back in school, the true history of Europe, but those European traits were perpetrated all across the world, and they're not good. Just like, something, the hidden history of the true nature of this country, the hidden history of the true nature of who those guys are, again.
Well, the thing about it is that we have for so many years in this country, and I can say only in this country I've experienced this, everything about us is ugly. Nose is too big, lips too big, eyes too set apart, or cheekbones too high, behind
skin too
big,
dark,
too black, hair too nappy, just anything and everything. So we tried to cut and carve, and we even see in modern times, poor Michael Jackson, he just kept carving and carving and cutting away himself because he thought of himself not being attractive, and he thought that the innocence that he had and his physical appearance didn't match what people thought he should look like. But that's something that goes right here to the core. And then when you leave this country, you go everywhere else, black people don't have a hang about how they look. They don't have a hang about where their hair looks long, short, nappy, straight, nose wide, flat, behind
and you know something, we are emulated. If you travel abroad, we are emulated, but we are hated so much. But why is this emulation?
Well, here's the thing, and this is the thing. When you see something that's good, you want to copy it. And since you know you cannot be the actual mold itself, you have to destroy the thing that you're copying so that you can replace it.
Well, I want to do the James Brown, and when I was a little kid, I always wanted, but I never could do it, so I did my own thing. So, again, I guess it depends on the individual, you know what I mean? So if I can take it and improve it and then make it mine, And see, this is again where we need to get
Bridge.
back into this mindset to okay, like I said, with sports, with the entertainment field, we weren't allowed to participate in it. So what did we do? We created our own, and so we need to get back to that entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? Okay, you won't let me play, so I'll invent a game that you'll want to play, and so forth. But go on, I'm sorry.
You know, when I get to sports, thinking sports, my mind goes. But far as bridging, we're talking about the connection culturally, economically, socially,
Yes.
spiritually, physically,
Yes.
psychologically. These things, because these are gaps. If you ever looked at children who are of Jewish ethnic descent, they know who they are.
Yes.
They have this history, their oral history is intact.
Yes.
Whatever they're telling it over and over and over again.
Yes.
So, many of my Italian friends, I can go right now home to Ohio, and the same families live in the same neighborhoods. Grandparents lived in this house, parents, then one of the other children take the house, the same neighborhoods, and they talk about they have the festivals every year, and their festivals are so full of their rich Italian heritage.
Right.
But when it comes to blacks, Black Americans, they just kind of lump us onto this one African American
Group.
festival, and so we do stuff that we don't even know. It's like I remember when people started wearing kente cloth. Well, I never wore it, and I'm glad I didn't, because I found out it wasn't even supposed to be for women to wear. But again, we didn't know,
Yeah.
and so every time Black people see a new fad or something, or they try to connect back to Africa, they just take whatever someone says without having it, because we really, really, really just want so much just to be complete in that regard. The bridge itself is also an emotional healing, because when you are lost, like I remember when you said last week, you all look at us in Ghana as your privileged cousins, and I felt so bad last week after the show, because what you said was that it surprised you about how much you all know about us, but how we don't know
about Africa, yes.
And I
Yeah.
think it goes back to what Sean mentioned, is that we've been controlled by the media to believe, and those belief systems about Africa just aren't true. And so the goal of the bridge is to pull what we are, to find firsthand from someone who actually grew up in Africa, to give us some of those stories. And again, as I mentioned last week about Imagination Press, we're a publishing company, so we now have the ability to really tell our stories. And some of the antisocial behaviors we see in society are a direct result of us just not knowing our history. So the bridge is really a leadership group. We're all leaders in our own right. And as Twala said, bridging that gap politically, socially, economically, and culturally, we really need to get to a place where we understand what we're about and where we come from. And like you said, Sean, we have been serious creators. I think one of the main things about Africans is, and African Americans, we can make something out of nothing. Some of you remember, if you didn't have a refrigerator, you could find Jimmy who would come in peace and put something here and there, and boom, you got a refrigerator. We're just that creative. We've done a number of inventions that unfortunately over the years we didn't even get credit for. So our goal is really to stand up and take and embrace our heritage and our history and our legacy.
Also, we encourage all groups out there to input.
Yes.
Because you know something, there's no egos. Us collectively can put our minds together and come up with solutions to bring about a change. And this is what also what the bridge is want to do. We want to bring people together.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Yes.
so it's important that we do. And you know something now, divide and conquer. The enemy uses separatism and separation
Yeah, that's a good
to
point.
keep us apart.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you a quick story. One of my best friends, you know, in high school, we were mad at each other, and we weren't mad at each other. You know what I mean? And come to find out, he said, "Man, I was mad at you because I thought you was mad at me. I said, man, I wasn't mad at you. You was mad at, and here we are. You know what I mean? And this is my cat. You know what I mean? But because of our, I don't even know what you want to call it. But I'm thinking he's mad at me. He's thinking I'm mad at him, and we didn't talk until one day we found out. Well, we weren't mad at each other. We was mad at a situation, but we weren't mad at each other. But I mean. We need to communicate with each other. We need to start talking. We need to start reaching out.
Yes.
You know, check your egos at the door.
Yes.
We are the world.
Yes, yes.
You are the children.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So again, check your ego at the door.
Yes.
And let's put our heads together like they are doing to keep us apart. They have think tanks and all over the place to try to keep this separation.
Let me jump in on that with you. You were saying about, and the one thing that we really, really want to express, we're not trying to say we don't deal with people of any races or any other nationalities or ethnicities or anything like that or any cultures. But this is the thing that black people really got to get this in your spirit. Stop apologizing for standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone else can formulate groups to support their causes and support their people and support their communities. And it seems like every time that we say that we want to do something for ourselves, like, well, I thought you wanted civil rights. I thought you wanted...
We get labeled. They put a label on it.
It's like there's a big a riff or a problem. I'm not anti-you. I'm pro-me. We're not anti-you. We're pro-me.
And it's
look at. Oh, I'm sorry.
And I think it's everyone's responsibility.
Exactly.
I don't think we'll ever get to a point like you mentioned before, where you have division and separateness. That is what allows the systemic racism to continue.
Absolutely.
Until we all realize that we're all human. God didn't say, I created a white man, a black man. He said, he created man, period. So what that means is that we're all in this together. And our goal here is, because there are so many social ills in our community, and I know some other groups, because I have very frank conversations with my white friends, with my Hispanic friends, and with others about what are you going to do. I remember one of a guy I worked for said to me, okay, now you have Obama as president. What is going to be your next excuse? There should be no excuses, correct? And I said, yes, there have never been excuses. And so we have to really understand, because there's institutional racism, and we don't, unless someone really explains it to you, you don't get it. But our goal is to forge and bridge together so that we work together to help our people, to help those. We've got a lot of problems with murder rate. We've got a lot of problems with educational levels. There's so many wrongs in our community, and it's up to all of us to work together to right the injustices.
Absolutely.
And that's across the board, culturally as well as individually, each group, because you know something, if you stand by and see a wrong being done and don't do anything, you're just as guilty. So don't turn a blind eye just because it's not happening to you, but it could.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And until it's in your yard, then, you know, something. Otherwise, you won't say nothing until it's in your yard. You know, and then now you want to support, and you want somebody to help you to stand up and fight. But if you see a wrong, you know, pitch in and correct. So this is what we're saying. All of us need to pitch in. Like I said, for our foundation, put your brick in. Let's build something together.
Yes.
Let's bring about change together. Let's give our young kids hope.
Yes.
Let's hit something hard right now. This week, or this past week, the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute reneged on awarding Angela Davis with the Civil Rights Award. There's a banquet that they usually have in February. And not only did they renege and pull back their support from her receiving this award, they canceled the banquet and sent everybody a refund for the tickets. They wouldn't express the specific reason why. They only said that she has said statements in the past that are not in line with how they believe. That's what they said. they never came out and said who they were. The mayor ended up telling another news source that it was because of some comments that she made about the Palestinians and how her belief of the mistreatment of the Palestinians in Israel by the Israeli government. Now, she was speaking as a matter of a civil rights issue, which that's what you expect people who talk about civil rights for all peoples, not just one group of people. Same thing that Marc Lamont Hill did a month or so ago. And the question that we noticed, we've been trying to pull it from the Freedom of Information Act, and we found out that some of the board members are black and they abstain from voting. Some of the board members are of Jewish ethnicity. And the hard question is this: even if I don't agree with you, does that mean that I have the right to discount what you say? Even if what you say is something that I don't agree with. But the problem we're finding as black people is that the majority of our organizations, the majority of our institutions are started by monies that didn't come out of our pockets. And because the money doesn't come out of our own pocket, we don't really control the narrative. So if someone else says, I'm offended, then that money gets pulled or we have to change gears. Now, Angela Davis was hurt, and rightfully so. On top of that, she's from that hometown. So the question is, audience, hit them up. Go to their website and
Start
ask
holding them, these people in power
They owe us
accountable.
an answer.
Exactly.
They owe us an answer. They owe us an answer. They owe us as people an answer as to why you changed gears. They've never said, they've not publicly said what she said. That comment that I told you came from the mayor, who was not allowed to be in the initial meeting, which he normally is allowed to be in there.
Well, and I think that's the purpose or the goal of the bridge.
Exactly.
Is too often, if it's happening in you always say behind your fence.
That's right.
Then we should only be concerned with that. However, we're everyone's keeper, in my opinion. And just like we know the ongoing struggle between the Jews and the Palestinians, but we're just standing up for what's right. We're standing up because a lot of innocent people are killed or housed, and I don't see it much different from discrimination that we've experienced in terms of moving homes and whatnot. But that's the purpose of the bridge, is to give a voice to those kinds of issues. And like I said, we are all Christians on this panel, so we stand up for what we believe is right. Not that we don't welcome Muslims or Jews or what have you, but there's something just called basic right and wrong.
Plain and simple as that.
Yeah.
If she makes a comment about social ills, now I've been in Israel. I've been in Israel enough and tell you that the homes that they live in are utter squalor. I can't get into the politics behind it because I'm not an Israeli nor am I a Palestinian. But I can tell you that it's a hard road to toe for all kinds of reasons. Not getting into all that either, because once again, for me, that's not behind my fence. And today I'm thinking about what's behind my fence. But Angela Davis is behind my fence because she's a woman who looks like me, walks like me, moves like me. And the question I'm having is that other people behind the same fence are attacking the ones that are behind the same fence. So my question still is, when are we going to come together to pool our resources together to have our own, so that we can dictate the narrative of our own? If she says whatever she said, she didn't say, I know this for a fact, she didn't say kill the Jews, tear down the government. She didn't make those type of comments. She was talking specifically about the atrocities that she saw. So, but the bigger point that I have is this. Marc Lamont Hill did the same thing at the United Nations, and he stood for the Palestinians and their plight. But I still, and since last week, I've looked and I've been checking. I have yet to hear anyone in that community give major support to him.
And it's all on the issue of just fair treatment.
Fair treatment.
There's no
It's a
more.
civil right.
It's a civil rights
Civil
issue.
right.
It's just how do we treat people fairly?
But
And
why
that's-
is it that when black people do that, we're left hung up to dry?
Well, first and foremost,
We're hung out to dry by the
we
group
we
as
need
well.
to come together now collectively. Imagine the impact that we would have worldwide, not just in your community, but collectively. Now, me and Brother Francis can pick this table up and move it. But me by myself, I might can, but it's gonna be a struggle. But still, but collectively, me and Francis will pick this table up with ease. Now, that's just me and Francis. Now we throw you two in there.
Oh, you got it now.
Man,
See them guns?
okay, so like I said, so imagine if you will, people. Imagine if you will, collectively, what we can do.
Right.
Collectively, try it. If you're waiting for Bill or Bob or pick a name, I mean, you know, if you're waiting for them, guess what? You'll be waiting, and the table will never be moved.
You know what I thought he was getting ready to say? Bob the Builder.
Oh, yeah. Bob the
Bob the
Builder.
Builder.
Who is that?
Folks, you all know.
I'm like, oh, is that like what's the dude?
It's a little
Jim the
kid-
plumber?
No, it's a kid's
No.
little cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
Animated cartoon.
Bob the Builder.
Yeah.
What
Well-
he built?
Well, I have one more comment
Anyway.
on the Angela Davis issue because I think it's an important one. This is a clear example of, as researchers, and I've worked a number of years with top research firms in the country, and whenever there's an issue, you've got researchers that don't look like you, but they're speaking to your issue.
Right.
Angela Davis, we can say whatever we want to say about her, but what I recognize her as is a true intellectual. And I remember being about 22 or 23, really trying to understand the difference between black men and black women. Why is it that every time you see the two, it seems like they're kind of right here? There is no real separation. And black women hold as much grit as black men to
Right.
a certain degree, not
Right,
all.
right.
And so anyway, it was her book that I read that really helped me understand that. And she probably was one of the only people that could have spoken to why that's the case. And what she quite said is that during slavery, there was no difference
Exactly.
between men's work and women's work.
And you're right.
And so that perspective, perhaps not all, but I'm sure a white intellectual would never ever think about it or look to see that. And that's the reason why it's so important that we really support our leaders, especially our academic and intellectual leaders.
Teresa, just to piggyback off of that, during that time, the black female was basically the head of the household to protect the young black male, because the young black male was subject to all kind of atrocities, and so the female was basically the head of the household, and again to protect her little baby son or her husband or whatnot. So again, now they took that tool and kind of used it, and again, so it's been manifesting itself over the years to whereas now, say for instance, with the welfare system. I guess back in the 30s and the 40s, I wasn't around then, so I don't know. But anyway, I mean, you know, something. A woman couldn't have
If
a
you were,
male
you look rather
figure.
well.
Well, we don't crack, but anyway, you know what I mean. But you know, so they weren't allowed to have a male figure in the household. You know what I mean? And so that male figure represents the correct order of things. And without that correct order, everything else is out of order. Now, those are not my words. If you have a problem with it, talk to the man upstairs, because he said the man is the head.
Let me get in here real quick. Hit the subscribe button. Voxwave.com. Hit the subscribe button down there, this way, everywhere you get your screen set up. All the content on this channel is phenomenal. You can catch us on Instagram on Connect to the Bridge. You can find us there. Voxwave, we're here from 4 to 5 every Sunday, 4 to 5. Get back with it. Now, Francis. Francis.
He's such a patient man.
This is my
He's
favorite
been
part.
waiting. Okay,
Your turn
I'm
to
gonna let him
talk.
get it all out. Then, you know,
I
I'm gonna
was
come in.
waiting.
Because
We
you're
set the
waiting
stage for you.
patiently. You're waiting.
I was
Come,
waiting for you
cousin.
guys to, do
Hash
your
it out.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
come.
Okay, so like I said last week, my issue is I still don't understand why there's such a big divide, between African Americans and Africans. Again, I want to clarify some erroneous, impression that once you say Africa, it means that it's that land far away there where there are elephants and lions and people living up trees and all that, nonsense. It's not true. Africa is developing, We are not as, developed as you, but we've come a long way. We have streets, we have homes, people live in houses, people live normally, like I said. And what I think will make the difference is if people actually took time. First of all, to even find out, go online, see pictures of Accra, Ghana, see pictures of Lagos, Nigeria, see Ghanaians and Africans doing all sorts of things. Then you get a clearer picture of what it really is like. But what the magic is if you can take a trip to Africa. And I've been trying to drag you guys along. I hope that we'll be able to make this trip soon.
I have something to tell you if you finish about that.
Okay, all right. So basically, my role here, my role as part of the bridge, is to inform, our fellow cousins over here, that all the stuff that they heard is really not true. We have amazing things. We have amazing cultures. We have amazing traditions. The food we eat. We eat some of the healthiest foods in the world. We everything we've practiced over the years, whether it is the naming of a child or a festival or why we wear beads around our waist or and so on. When you get a clearer understanding of what African culture is, then you realize it's not that bad. It's not the kind of vicious and savage thing that you've always heard about, people with dirty feet and they live up trees and they are eating monkeys and it's all about Ebola and everything nasty. It is not. We have streets like you have. We have homes. We don't live up trees. We don't live in, and not everybody in Africa is poor. Of course, there are poor people in Africa, but there are also very wealthy people in Africa.
There's poor people here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Let me jump in right quick, Francis. You entrepreneurs and whatnot, there's a whole continent that you can market.
Yeah.
So you can sell your wares there. So we can get this back and forth. And then we'll become, as a power, economically viable. And, so once we have that money, to give you an example, I'm going to try to get this right. But don't hold this against me if I mess up the letters. But the LBG ABC group was just... But when they got together, and they pooled their resources, now they were able to get laws changed.
Yes.
They
become a force.
They are
They
a
become a
force,
force,
right?
yes.
They don't have a party yet, but they do. I'm just kidding, but anyway. But they don't have a party yet. They're still Democratic, Republican. But yet and still, they are a power. They're a force.
They're a force.
So again, we have a whole continent that's waiting for us.
We are planning to, we've been working on this trip. So I was going to tell you, but since you beat me headed, we found a way that we can go there from June the 19th to the 30th of June. And the price is $11.49 round trip.
Are you kidding me?
No, sir. So if you all want to join us, please hit us up.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
nice.
So
Oh, yes.
yeah, for 11:49.
Go as a whole, or as a group.
that's
so
leaving- that's
so
leaving
we
out-
all in this, because we're going to bring Africa back here to you, so
Let's leave it
y'all
out
can
in New
see
York
it.
now.
Right.
So we figured $20. See, you have to know how to travel on a shoestring budget and get these places around the world. I'm trying to tell you. I went to Egypt round trip for less than $600. Royal Jordanian.
Wow.
And plush seating, a whole nine. It's like first class seat. I mean, wonderful. You have to know how to do it. So we leave here for a $20 boat bus. We'll go to New York, and then we'll be at Penn Station and take another $20 bus to go to JFK. So that's what, $40. So still round trip to Accra.
We've got to sit down and
Yeah.
write and
So-
Yeah.
really plan this, but this is
So-
cool. I like
So
that.
yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
we've
Oh, yeah.
already talked to.
You're full of surprises.
Yeah.
Well, I hear you can't clap for that.
That's nice.
I just
That's
wanted
nice.
to add one of the other things that people can do very simply, which won't take much time. And most of us subscribe to Netflix, and I watch a lot of African films on TV. And to me, they're the best because they have a strong moral fabric to them, and they're funny, very, very funny.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to watch movies on television just to get a sense of, what are my people doing? What is it like, back home, and how do they dress? You see some of the fashion is phenomenal. So there's just so much to take in.
Right.
Well, we noticed that I was checking out the link that you had sent about Boris Kojo and all these different
Yes.
black
Yeah.
actors and that
Yeah.
have gone
Yeah.
to Ghana. Sitting there this morning, I was looking over something again. Just, we just do prep and research and everything. And what I found out today, I know that Ghanaians are wanting black Americans to come to repatriate and to re-Africanize us, and that there's a pathway to citizenship.
Yeah.
Not only like the dreamers and what they're doing here in the wall and all that. We don't have to do all that. Want to climb over, swim over anything. So
The wall. You don't have to climb a wall, so.
because you'll take me someplace.
Yeah.
I'll say this: a wall's not gonna keep anybody out that's trying to get in here. That's the bottom line. But anyway, because I'm still thinking about over 800,000 people that are still out of work. They're gonna be out of work for a while. Back to this, but Ghana is the only country in Africa I found out this morning that has said yes. You don't have to go through all of this paperwork. You don't have to go through all this to become citizens. So we talk about blacks wanting to reconnect to the continent, but we're also starting in Ghana because this is the majority of us came from this area. The majority of us that are in North America came from these soils. So we have to work ourselves where you can't. We say you got this big continent, but we have to work ourselves. The community at times, it's like if you want to try to clean up something here, we're talking about going and join us in Baltimore this spring. We're going to go do a cleanup with the Diva Dolls in Baltimore City. We'll give you more information about that too. You can't take the whole city. You take one community, one section,
One
a
at a
couple blocks
time,
at a
right,
time.
right.
So what I like is that it felt so warming just to read and
Yeah,
just look at it.
that's-
It's
yes.
like, wow,
You're welcome.
like a
You know,
connection,
you
like
can-
yeah. And there's this one comic. I'm not going to give him the airtime to mention his name. He's a Trump supporter. And that's his choice, and that's not why I'm not mentioning his name. I'm not mentioning his name because what he said was ridiculous. He said, "I've never been to the continent of Africa, so I'm not African. I'm not African. I'm not African American. I've never been to the continent of Africa. I'm 7 generations removed from." So I said, the logic behind it didn't make sense with the comment because we all are African, but the
Birth
logic.
of civilization.
But he said that.
Yeah.
But I'm 7 generations. I don't know if he actually counted 7. I don't know.
Well, you see, what I want to encourage everybody to do, and I said this the last time, is it's very difficult, for me to sell the idea of Africa to my African American brothers and sisters and cousins because everything that they've heard, everything they know about us, almost everything they know about us is negative, and to even just convince them that, listen, it is not as you think. You know, the moment you start speaking and they hear your accent, they're like, man, this guy must be from Africa, you know. And nothing interesting happens after that. A few people are interested. They want to see, you know, what it really is like and so on and so forth. But what I believe I should try and do is to walk my cousins like you know, take you to Ghana, you know, for a couple of days, you know, for you to find out for yourself. Then when you come back, I assure you it will be a very spiritual experience for you, you know, because that is where we all came from. You know, we have, I keep, you know, saying this thing about we have traditions. Do you know one interesting thing about you know, West African religion? They all believe in a supreme God, that there's one God. All the tradition, almost, in fact, all the studies that we have done concerning,
Let me cut you off.
Yes.
Do we look like Kenny G?
Oh,
I'm just
hell no.
you know, I mean, that's what they bring over there. You know, this blue-eyed,
Yeah.
permed up dude carrying a sax. No, I'm just playing. But
So I see what
you
you
know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just even talking about how sophisticated we are. You know, that we believe in a supreme being.
Yes.
We believe in one
Yes.
big God.
Yes.
One
yes.
guy.
Before the white man came.
Let me ask you a question, cousin. I have a young lady that I taught her in school. Her name is Ashley. She'll be joining us via phone on our last show of the month when we talk to Mr. John Cheeks, who will be here from the USCRIA dealing with recovery and reparations. You do want to listen to the show. You do want to hear it. You want to see it, more importantly. But Ashley, she's an African spiritualist. We talk on the phone quite frequently. And Ashley and I, we marathon on the phone for hours at a time. And Ashley was saying the very same thing. She said with Miss C, she said that I have a problem with Christianity because I can't believe that the Africans that are my ancestors didn't believe in a God before the Europeans ever landed on the continent. I said, well, talk to me some more, you know, because I have to hear what she's saying. And she said, no, she said, I believe in African spiritualism. She said, so we it's just not some white man with blonde hair and blue eyes, and there's some other things that, you know.
And the saxophone.
Right. No, not saxophone. I'm saying right. No, and Kenny G, if you listen.
Nothing, sorry,
Yeah,
Kenny.
yeah. Come on over here. I want to hear you play some tunes. He doesn't have blonde hair, and his eyes aren't blue.
So the
But-
Jesus in the Bible had on some socks.
Say what?
His feet was made of bronze.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So the Jesus had on socks. The Jesus in the Bible. So his skin was made of bronze, or his feet were
His feet
feet
were
were bronze. So those were socks or footies.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just.
Okay.
Socks with sandals and you.
Right.
Okay. So she was talking about African spiritualism, and so I was agreeing with her on a lot of points because it was very valid. I have some other friends who also are African spiritualists because one of my friends, we communicate back and forth, and his contention is that why should we believe in a God that a slaver introduces, which is a whole different show in and of itself. But my point is that we're spiritual people, and I think it's because of our spirituality, not Christianity. Our spirituality is what helped us persevere all this time.
Yes, definitely.
And we didn't get that from the cotton fields, and we didn't get that on the slave box. We got that before we got here. So I wanted to speak to that.
That's
Yeah,
good.
well, to survive the most horrendous of times, there had to be something.
Some
You
spiritual connection.
you know something now? They say God is in us, and that spirituality that's in us helped them to overcome those men. It's amazing, and it's funny you should mention that. Francis, thank you. To hear you two talk and to compare things, and y'all two worlds apart, and look how close you are together. You know, as some of the things that your ancestors have taught you, and that you mentioned that y'all learned from, you know, when you was a little Francis. You know what I mean? And how they coincide, like, and y'all both be marveling at each other. But so there is a connection. You know what I mean? So again,
I didn't forget.
Exactly.
Exactly. Maya, I'll interject here, and then we'll go to a break. And before we go to a break, we'll let Teresa talk about purpose. My great grandfather, if you look in the Library of Congress, his name is Josh Horn. Old Guinea Jim is the name of one of the little stories he told. He was a great storyteller, and he was a prolific storyteller. I never got a chance to see him in real time because he was long since dead before I came on this part of the soil. But everything that he talked about, my family members kept bringing it down. You know, my granddad, my grandma, my father, great aunts and uncles and cousins, they talk the same stories and these things. That's why the things that I know is because I was that child that sat at the feet of the older people all the time on both sides. And I'd say, well, who was your mom's name? What was it? Did they have any problems? I asked those questions. So everything that my family history has is right here. The stories I have are right here. And this one here is me jarring me to put it out on paper.
Yes.
And but so when we're talking, I can't even explain it. Sometimes I'm at the house and I think, dang, we're going to find out our common relative's name. And I just know I am. I know it.
Aw, that's beautiful.
I do.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
What if you find out y'all related?
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be
When
something?
he first met me, what did he say I look like?
I said, you look like a cousin of mine. I mean, it's scary. I told my sister, and she said, so I mentioned, oh, we have a cousin, and I just met a lady who looks just like her. You know, we're all very excited about that, and so we've actually become cousins. Now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Teresa.
Sorry, Francis.
So
Go on.
we had of course, there's always going to be a lively discussion at the bridge.
Yes,
but
true.
anyway, we want to shift our focus right now. We're doing, because this is a new year, we really want to focus on this new year. And I always say it's a new year, new you. And so one of the things I want to make sure that we do is work on our purpose. Everyone is born with a purpose, is what I believe. And it's so important to get in touch with who you are. And so it's going to be important that before we go to the break, we have a wonderful woman here. Her name is Miss Miriam Bryce. She is, to me, the next Maya Angelou, for sure. I watched, and for those of you who have Netflix, please check Maya's legacy tape out, because I think it's just powerful. I get emotional just thinking about it. And this young lady, I believe, is, and we're going to work to make her a national, she's going to be on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Household
So
name.
we're passing the torch from Maya to Miriam Bryce, but she's going to give us a few of her wonderful poems, and then we're going to talk about what I call some weighty issues, like what we need to do to lose weight and such, and then we'll take it from there. So don't leave us. We'll be back shortly.
Okay. welcome.
I wrote this poem called The Stone's Been Rolled Away, and it deals with the problems in your life. The stone being rolled away at Jesus' tomb didn't have to be rolled away for him. It was rolled away for us. So therefore, as you face this year and some stones in your life, realize that they can be rolled away. Thorns on his head, a spear in his side, nails in his hands and feet, and yet he did rise on the third day after death. Nothing could hold him down. The stone's been rolled away. There's no body to be found. The stone's been rolled away. He isn't there anymore. He died for our sins. This is why he was born. Shake yourself and step into the light. The Comforter has come from the ultimate sacrifice. All ye that are weary and heavy laden, the stone's been rolled away. Broken-hearted and troubled mind, the stone's been rolled away. Lonely and in despair, the stone's been rolled away. Your lawyer tells you that you're going to jail. The stone's been rolled away. Financial problems, foreclosures, and in debt, the stone's been rolled away. The doctor said that there is nothing he can do. That stone's been rolled away. Come up out of that grave and drop those filthy rags. The stone's been rolled away because of the blood of the Lamb. Oh, my brother and sister, your situation can change. Your stone can be rolled away. Just call on Jesus' name.
Snap.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back, and we'd like to thank Miriam Bryce. We want to give you a high five for that wonderful poem. Miriam, we want to ask you, what inspires you to come up with that concept? Because it's beautiful.
It's not even me. It's really the Lord. I sit up there. If I could, I would play and laugh all day, and dress up and put colors together and sew. But the Lord speaks and I write. It's all about listening.
Absolutely, I agree. It was a wonderful poem because something. The content of it speaks to a lot of what's going on in a lot of our lives.
Yes.
And it put it into context. You know something. We worry about so much.
Yes.
And something. The battle's already won.
He's already died for all of that.
Right.
He's already died for the strife.
And you're sitting up here pushing on a stone.
Yeah, it's
That's already passed.
rolled away, right?
Come on,
so when
man.
I tell you to shake yourself, I'm telling you to shake off those grave clothes and come up out of that grave and realize that everything's taken care of.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yes.
As Francis says, chill.
Yeah. Like when you said that, and you made it seem so like I relaxed, like wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yes.
Yeah, and it's so important. Miriam has a website, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your website and everything?
Okay, I have a website. It's called MiriamWBryce.com. And also, my email address is system.mwb@gmail.com. System.mwb@gmail.com. And system means share your story to empower many.
Right. So we want you to do whatever you can to support her. You have her website address. please, her books are on her website. Please purchase her books. She is a true author and a true writer.
Yes.
So she has several books, and we want to really promote and to help each other get to the next step and the next level.
And I'm thanking you ahead of time, and there is a donate button.
And see, this is what the Bridge do. We bring people together. So all you young, inspiring writers that wants to be a part of, that can pick her brain for her wisdom, that's what we're here for. And so, again, you see the dynamic people that you have to work with. So, again, look at the website. Get involved.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Get involved.
So this show, we're talking about the new you, and I know everyone makes New Year's resolutions. I know I have mine.
Right.
Mine is always to lose weight. I hope I get to the point where I don't have to say that, but I do need to hit that gym a bit more. And as Doc Wilson, who is one of our supporters, says, you really need to watch your diet and eat better. So I wanted to know from you, Miriam, have you made any New Year's resolutions this year at all?
Yes, I did, but as a lot of people, it kind of slid off a little bit. I'm going to lose, I'm going to gain this, I'm going to drop that, I'm going to stop talking to this person, I'm going to, you always make and it's called weights and diets. I call it weights and diets, and that's what we do. We think of weights and ways of releasing some things, releasing some people, releasing some places, but the thing is to stick to it.
Right.
And stop acting like I really don't need to. But you do. You really do.
And
I really do.
My thing is that when you fall off, always know that you've got
Yes.
every day you can start again.
You can start
and that's
again.
the key. Usually once we fall off, it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and then we're done. But please, whatever you resolve to do this year, remember that once you fall off, just say, well, yeah, I lost it today, but I'm going to try again tomorrow. And you
Yes.
just
Get
keep
back
trying
up on
until
that
you
horse.
make it.
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes is by Aristotle. He says, excellence then is a habit. That's something we do every single day. So it's very important to make how you eat a habit.
Yes.
Okay? You want to read your poem on weights for us, please?
Yes, I will. It's called Weights and Diets. I'm wondering why my neck won't work. My back is achy and my shoulders hurt. I'm pondering on the deep impressions my feet make. As I walk this journey, I feel as if I'm overweight. Come to think about it, I'm feeling constipated from the things I shouldn't listen to and from my digested plate. I realize that I'm being bogged down with some things I created that are not from the Creator. I created this weight because of the things I ate. I dipped and dabbled creating this hellish intake. My mind confounded me to this scandalous feast. I realized my situation and prayed for a release. Suddenly my shoulders shook in relief. My spirit was on duty as I sprang to my feet. Angels were dispatched as I straightened my stance. As the chains fell, I began to dance. My mouth and my neck were freed from the shackles around it. A joyful noise emanating a hallelujah resounded from it. Be careful of your diet and those whom you choose to linger around and listen to. Don't ever let them control the praise within you. Don't ever let things prevent you from your walk. Don't succumb to the wiles of man. Walk in faith, my brothers and sisters. Aim for that jubilee and that tableland.
All right.
That's beautiful. And can you tell us your mindset when you wrote that piece?
It was on the things that I said, okay, this is what I'm going to drop off. I want to lose weight here, the stomach, the hips, the arms, the thighs, all of me. And then I thought about some of the people that I listen to, or some of the things that I have, some relationships that are dead, and I'm just dragging them on. And they're just weighing me down and, giving that hunch in my back, So now I choose to stand up straight and let them roll on off.
That's powerful.
You know something? I'm going to say this, and this is one of my favorite quotes that helped me to go on, and I'm a karate fan. I love Bruce Lee movies and you know something. So yeah, one of the phrases was to endeavor to persevere. Now, T-LIMS was created through that endeavor to persevere, and thus the bridge. So even whatever your you say for the New Year's, your resolution for the New Year's, endeavor to persevere.
Wow,
if
I
you
like
fall off, you can get back
I
on.
like that.
Yes.
If you fall off a bike, you don't stop riding a bike, do you? You know, you just lick your wounds and get back on it, and look out for that tree the next time. But you know, you gotta keep going. You know something? We wouldn't be here today if we'd have given up.
Oh, right.
With
That's a good
the
point.
horrendous start that we got
Don't
as
ever give up.
African Americans in this country, if we had given up, we would not be.
That's a
it'd
good
be
point.
4 white people sitting up here talking about. You know what I mean? But you know something, and we were beaten, we were whipped, we were this, we were that,
But we never
and
gave
and
up.
we never gave up. So whatever that resolution that you made for the New Year's, you know, keep in mind you can do it. Be that little train that said that he can or I could.
know
I think I can.
Think I can.
Yeah.
I think I can. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
know I can.
So,
Yeah.
so
I can.
again, once you get that psyche in your head, and what you speak comes out. What comes out of your mouth, you can bring into fruitation.
Oh, that's a
you know
good
what I mean?
point.
Now the Bible tells you, what do you say about the golly, the tongue?
Is it on-
Guard your tongue,
Yes.
because that tongue can be a vicious thing. You know, be it for the good or be it for the bad. So you have to be careful of what you speak, because what you speak is what you think.
Yes.
Now, what's in your
Heart.
heart?
It's all about the heart.
You know what I mean? That's a whole totally different ball game, because you know something. Again, I think we did a promo for Ebony. Hi, Ebony. Ouch Girl. And one of the things that I have written was heart's dreams. You know what I mean? So what the heart's dreams, you know, you can do anything. So what's in your heart?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's going to make you to endeavor to persevere.
I like that.
Endeavor to
I like
persevere.
that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Francis, did you want to share a little bit about? I'm picking on Francis because Francis and I have known each other for quite some time, but he made a commitment to lose weight, and every time I come to visit, he's always coming out the gym.
Really?
So he's done such an outstanding job of it. I wanted him to talk a little bit about what kinds of things you did to just finally make the switch and the change. What really helped you to be as dedicated as you've been?
Okay, the first, I think my first worry was, I mean the pain that you know, all of a sudden I take one step and it's painful, and I take another step and it's painful. So it's pain, you know. So the usual thing, you go to the doctors and they say, oh, you have to lose the weight, and you know, and I you know, so I just said one day I'm going to work on it, and I started, and I think I'm more driven by the fact that I don't like the pain that so
That'll do it.
so then I started going to the gym, and you saw the change.
Yeah,
you know? And even though I've slipped a little, I think
look
I'll
very
say-
good.
I'm going to come on top and make sure that 2019 is going to be
Your year.
my year where I'm not going to walk and feel pain every time I take a step.
I love that. It was the pain.
It was the pain.
So
yeah.
anyway, Miriam, I think with you, you have one poem that I absolutely love, and then we're gonna turn it over to Twala to do our announcements.
Okay.
But it's I won't tell the title, but why don't you start with that and talk about why you wrote this piece? Why don't you start and talk about why you wrote the piece before you read it?
Well, I wrote it, it's called What Kind of Shape Are You In? And I wrote it because we're so conditioned to worry about what we're wearing, how we look. You know, are my lips too narrow? Are they too fat? You know, are my jaw, you know, my cheekbones out of sorts? And we need to consider the soul and what's on the inside. So I wrote, what kind of shape are you in? The Creator created a creature to take part in an omnipotent plan, an essence covered in clay, a soul covered in man, reaching down from heaven to create life from dirt by molding and manipulating the ground and the earth, the bones, the blood vessels, the organs, the skin, a soul covered by dirt. What kind of shape are you in? Insignificant particles formed into flesh, watched over and taken care of. He knows what's best. The first noun is the plot. The location is temporary. The destination is holy, eternal, sanctuary. Imagine soil, worthy of a crown. No dirt in heaven, only souls are heaven bound. So while encased in his image, wrapped in love, surrounded by grace and blessed from above, keep in mind the inside, the soul that lives within. Oh, and by the way, what kind of shape are you in?
All right, I like that. I like that. Make me want to do jumping jacks.
And before we have
Very good.
Miss Twala come back, I picked up this book by Ken Blankard and Truett Cathy. Does anyone know who Truett Cathy is? He's the guy who did the Chick-fil-A, built all the restaurants. And it's called The Generosity Factor. And he talks about the soul. That as we go through, because we always promote entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship means nothing unless you get your soul right.
Yes.
And once you do the piece on soul, and really, this is a short read, a quick read. We're all about reading. It'll make a huge difference in your life. And then the other piece is for if you have any kids who don't know their purpose or you don't know your purpose, I would like for you to pick up the book, 8 Steps to a Fulfilling Life. This is my book, actually. You said this is but it's a very short read, but it talks about purpose. And I believe that when you have purpose, a lot of the things that you feel individually can be cured when you are connected to God, and you two have your purpose entwined. You'll feel a lot freer. You'll be able to move forward, and it will be a soul experience.
Yes.
What kind of shape
What kind of shape
are you in? I love it.
And to keep in mind, too, you guys, you are what you eat. So you have to be conscious of what you're putting in your body. Today's with all these preservatives and this processed foods, you have to be conscious of what you're eating. And you know, as I said, you know, you are what you eat. So with that note, Twila, if you want to, first we want to thank Marion for those beautiful, inspiring
Beautiful.
poems.
Thank you.
Please look at our website. Give her your website one more time.
Miriam, MIRIAM, Bryce.com.
Very good. Look her up. If you enjoy reading, let's kill that stigma about black folks not wanting to read. You know what I mean? That's how we gain knowledge. This is why it was forbidden for us to read. We were killed because we knew how to read. What is it, Tom and Jerry? Or what's the first book you used to read when you was a kid?
Dick and Jane.
Dick and Jane, yeah, okay. You got killed for reading Dick and Jane. Come on now. But anyway, okay, Tyler, Will.
Our sponsors for this hour includes the Sugar Foundation. Check out the book called I Got the Sugar, But the Sugar Don't Got Me by Deanna Rice. It is about diabetes, which is something that affects all of us in our community. We also want to thank Imagination Press, imaginationpress.com. If you're trying to write a book, if you're interested in consulting, if you're trying to get a thesis done, Imagination Press is where you need to go. There's a whole plethora of staff, qualified staff, that can assist you from start to finish. Take the idea and put it into a reality. Imagination Press. 50 Clothing. 50 Clothing is a new line that's coming out. We're going to have a show here real soon. You're going to see these fashions. And this is bridging us between here and Ghana. Sometimes you see young men and women with tattoos on with Japanese symbols and all kinds of symbols. They don't even know what they're printing on their bodies. We need to get to what means something to us. So 50 Clothing is going to help us along with that. And The Ouch Girl. The Ouch Girl has a clothing line, THEE, Ouch Girl. phenomenal clothing line for women of all sizes. Ebony is working here steadily. She has sketches that she hasn't even put into reality yet. Ebony is here every day or every Sunday from 1 to 2. We also like to thank ExodusHouseATL.com, Exodus House Atlanta, where Ray Wilkerson is the founder of it. Exodus House assists individuals when they need to know, want to start businesses, want to do a business plan, start with financial planning, all sorts of resources. They also have assistance to individuals who are returning citizens. Phenomenal, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful all the way around. And of course, if you're a coffee drinker or if you know a coffee drinker, Sweet Unity Farms, and you can get that coffee on going to IamOneAMillion.com. Sweet Unity Farms is the coffee that is a collective that's in Tanzania. It is the only black-owned coffee collective left in the world. And one of the members who owns it, there are several families that own it, but one of the persons, the lead principal, is David Robinson, who is the youngest son of Jackie Robinson, baseball great. And when he gets back here in the States here, we're going to be able to have him here, so if you walk and talk to him, we're working on that. So please support all of our sponsors. And if you have any new ideas as far as music that you want to do, any music, any aspiring singers, come down here to Vox.com, VoxWave.com. Come here. Music's played here 24/7, 365. They also have spots if you wanted to get on a show or you have something to promote. VoxWave.com, 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 baby. We always have to thank Reg and Ron because they know how to do it here, and they treat us real well and real swell. This part here, we want to talk about, you talked about purpose, you talked about this, but we're talking about for our next show. But before we do that, we want to get some marching orders, and we call this part Walk the Walk. You always talk about things that you want to do, but should be done, but we never actually really do these things. It's like it's so impossible for us to do. The one thing that we want to do for you to have in your mind this week is that you see that there's a store called Walmart, store called Dollar General, store called Dollar Tree. Go in that store, buy 2 packs of paper. It's $2.12. Go buy a pack of pencils. It's $1.06. And take it to your local school. Drop it off in the office. You don't have to even leave your name. Just say this is for the school, for any teacher that needs it. You'd be surprised at how many children are in school that don't have the supplies, or how many children act out in school because their parents can't afford or don't purchase the resources that they need. Teachers are depleted because they do spend money out of pocket to ensure that your child has supplies. Now, there's an expiration date with that too sometimes, because sometimes you think teachers make so much money, and oftentimes people forget a lot of teachers are single parents. A lot of teachers are parents that have children in multiple schools, so they're stressed thin too. So sometimes we don't give them a full hit on that. So be a supportive individual in that regard. And if you do that, we want you to add in the comment section down there when you're viewing this. Don't just view us. Comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know.
Be a part of.
Because it's not just about us, it's about you. Let us know what you think, what you want us to talk about. What do you want to hear? What do you want to know? Is there someone particular that you want to see? We'll work on getting them in. If we can't get them in visually, we'll get them in on this telecommunication. We're in the 21st century. We can get something done.
Right.
Get something done, right?
We need you. You know my little.
That's right. We need you.
We need you. It's for you. It's for us. We need you. Be a part of.
No problem. The next part of the thing is, of course, as an educator, I'm going to give you some homework. And the homework for you all is to go online to YouTube and listen to these 2 speeches. Now, let me preface this first. I don't want to ever hear, I have a dream speech ever again in life. I said that I don't want to hear that speech again. Never, ever in life I want to hear it. I don't want to hear anyone tell me about content of color, content of your character and color of your skin. I don't want to hear that. Because what has happened is that society has made Martin Luther King one-dimensional, and he is multi-layered. And it is the Martin King of 1967 that got Martin King killed in 1968. And we'll make this very clear. So listen to the speech, To Americas. So the first half, so next week we have a dynamic show. We're not listening like everyone else, listening to the mountaintop, or not the mountaintop, well, we will do that, but I have a dream. We're not going to rehash that speech. We're not at all. We're going to go to Two Americas, because the sad part about that speech, when you listen to it, that's what we're listening in today. Martin King was telling people about how, although the civil rights had passed, it really hadn't passed for us. And he was challenging people and actually picking these things apart. Folks, they wouldn't hear that Martin Luther King. They wanted to hear the Washington March, March on Washington, Martin.
Right.
And then the next half of the show, we will talk about I've Been to the Mountaintop, which was the very last speech that he gave, which was given within hours of his death, where this man knew that his clock on this side had expired. When you listen to that speech, you will know that he knew that death was on the horizon, much like Malcolm knew that day at the Audubon Ballroom that he knew that was the last time that he was going to be speaking in front of his people, because everything was different that day. Malcolm pulled all security back. He didn't have anybody check when they came in. I truly believe, and if you study and even listen to the Shabazz sisters speak, he was tired of running, and his family was in danger. And he knew that as long as he was still here on this plane, his family was not going to be safe. So he sacrificed himself, not just for us, but for his family. So that's a big commitment. That's a big deal.
His conviction was as such that death didn't stop him.
Didn't stop him. He didn't.
You know what I mean? Because the message is so important that even if I die giving it, I've done what
My assignment.
my assignment.
Purpose.
Very good.
Purpose.
My assignment.
Purpose.
Yes.
Purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
And each and every one of us have a purpose
Yes.
in this life. You know, you might be the best. You might make the biggest cake, the perfect cake, and then die. But if that's your purpose, then that's your purpose. But we all have a purpose. And again, we have to endeavor to persevere
I like that.
that purpose.
I love that.
You know what I mean? As Miriam, you know, some that spoken word is her purpose to touch that heart, to bring them in harmony with that the harmony of the world, the harmony of the soul, of the spirit, of who you are, in connection. You know what I mean? So again, maybe that's her purpose. So
Again, when we see you next week, we want you to call in. Give those numbers so they can call in next week.
oh, the number is 240-719-2560. That's 240-719-2560.
Put it on speed dial, folks, so we want you to call. We'll open up the lines for you to call and comment. Finally, we would like to give our condolences to the Greater Washington Deliverance Church in Laurel, Maryland, as they had the overseer's funeral services yesterday. They buried another sister the week before, Pastor Karen Rutherford and the family. We, from Voxway.com and from the Bridge, we send our condolences to your family.
Sorry.
Yes.
Anyone has any, and I will say this, Dr. Ida Mae Simpson lived a well-filled, purpose-filled life. So it was a beautiful service, a beautiful homegoing. Anyone has anything else they want to say to tell everybody bye? If not,
I want to thank Miriam. I want to thank Foxwave.com. And I'll leave you with this comment for myself. Continue to be a blessing for everyone. Continue to be a blessing for someone else. So
Ron,
get yours.
take us home.